Hello, everyone. I'm Dalia.
And I'm Alma. This is Nightmare on Fifth Street, a horror movie podcast.
I'm doing the podcast dance.
Shuffle?
Oh, I like
Shuffle?
that. The podcast shuffle. I really do. Okay. So before we start, for those who can see, Alma, can you show your blankie?
Oh, my blankie. I thought you were going to talk about how I put my name there and I didn't realize you were recording this.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I'll mention that in a second.
I got my Chucky blanket because I was cold. Can you
It's
see which I can't
adorable.
tell if it's
Oh no,
upside
we
down or
could. It's sideways, but it's adorable. That is super adorable.
we're cold. You got to have stuff to cover us up because we got freezing bones, freezing bonitis, freezing bonitis.
That's a real diagnosis. I should know. I'm a nurse.
Yes, she's an RN, so she knows.
Okay. Anyway, then we're just both complaining about being cold, and then Alma has this cute little blankie. So,
Freezing.
but yeah. So Alma rules, Dalia drools. What the fuck?
I didn't know anybody would see that.
Sure.
No, I did not. You always kind of surprise me with things, but I feel like you already told me we were going to record it. So, oh
But
well.
I would see it at the very least.
But that's
I
because it was a joke at you.
at me. Ooh, what's with the nails? I saw you
Oh, yeah, I had my nails done for no reason. Yeah, that was fun. I went. That's like the only thing that I did last week that I think was enjoyable.
for
I
you.
went. Yeah, for me, it was like I got a full pedicure, and the hot rocks and anything. It sounded bad.
Yes.
I was like so close to tweeting, "Rub anything hot on me, and I'm in heaven." And then I was like, "That doesn't sound good." But you know how they put like the hot rocks? They put the
I
hot towels.
fucking love those hot rocks. That they're
Oh
just
fuck,
like,
I love
oh
it
my
so
god,
much.
yes.
Yeah. But they put so much hot shit on you and then they wrap
Uh-huh.
you in that big heavy thing around your neck with the hot warmed up rocks.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there like feeling so good. Like I
Did you fall
think
asleep?
I could have. I could have. And I wasn't even on my phone the whole time. I just let them do their thing.
Wow. See, I get on my phone that way because you know me, and I'm an introvert.
Mhm.
And people are so friendly, and I feel horrible, but I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to
Yeah.
talk to anybody. I don't even want to talk to anybody in my own house. Just leave me alone.
Yeah. Leave me.
So, oh wow, you were
I
like,
had the massage chair on and I was just like,
I
okay,
love
I'm
that.
not. That's
Well, no,
recorded.
I shut up. See, I am also a fan of the hot. There is a sink at work in one of the bays, and it only does the super hot water. You know, no
Ooh, yeah,
cold, no cold water, and
I always use
I
the hot.
it's hot, that hot to wash like certain things, right? That parts like, you know, I won't get into detail, but yeah, to wash things,
Mhm.
and I use it to scrub in. And it's like I could see my arms turning red as I'm doing it because you have to do the whole up to the elbows. And I'm like, it feels like a hot shower. So I love finding an excuse to go re-scrub in. And I'm just like, oh, this feels so
Oh,
good with the hot water.
I have a theory that like the hot water stays in you longer. And that's why I wash my hands with hot water
Yeah.
like that, like to where you see the steam, because I'm like,
Uh-huh.
my body absorbed it. In
Yeah.
that osmosis? Is it still osmosis? Totally
Yes,
is.
that's totally osmosis. Okay.
So we're here to talk about a movie
A
and
movie. A movie?
a
A movie.
a a Nightmare on Elm Street
A
part
nightmare?
duh back in action.
A nightmare? A night? Is it called? Was it Back to Action or Back in Action? Is that really what it
Dalia,
is?
no, it isn't. It's
Sorry.
Freddy's Revenge.
Oh. What? I didn't know. I don't pay attention to the colon part. I don't.
And the thing
It,
is that, honestly, yeah, it's true. The thing is that most of the time it's because when I lie or say things, I have the same face. And that's why most people can't tell when I'm being sarcastic or making a joke, or that I made a joke and they think I'm being serious and they're like, I don't know what to do with that.
well,
So
see, the Back in Action works for this movie, I think.
back in action. This one, some people don't think it's a good one, and I have
Like the
always
way you said
loved
that.
it. And I love it. And that's
Aw.
so we did a Nightmare on Elm Street. We've done the first one. This
Ja.
one, I was like, hey, let's just do this one, because when it comes to sequels, I'm very good at watching franchise movies and loving the movies individually, like each separately, like for different reasons. And this one, everybody brings up, oh, because it doesn't keep to the same rules as the first one. And I'm
The
like,
first one doesn't keep to the rules. I mean, give me a break. And I am a fan of the movies. The first one
mhm.
doesn't keep to the rules. Remember when he was getting people when they're awake in the
Yeah,
first
I was
one
like, Dalia always
already?
brings that up.
It's like, that's not, you're breaking the rules.
You're
So
supposed to be in the
fix it.
dream world, asshole. You stay in the
Anyways,
spirit world. So yeah,
so
this one's a part
yes.
2 from 85.
Mhm.
This one is not Wes Craven. It was written by David Chaskin, based on Craven's characters, directed by Hack Shoulder. Robert Englund came back for this one, and I think we all know he wasn't supposed to be in this one. They had started shooting the movie with an alternate Freddy, and they were like, no, we can't do this. Robert Englund, we need him back. That's why it's called Back in
Back in
Action.
action.
Part 2. Robert Englund is back. Mark Patton is Jesse Walsh. And since I was a kid, this is one of the ones that I loved. And I used to, for some reason, think it was an episode, because we were really young. Remember Freddy's Nightmares, the TV series? I used to think it was one of those, because I think it was like one that we might have just watched one and done, you know what I mean, for a while. And the bird sequence is always something that stuck with me when I was a kid. And Jesse loved it because he was like the main dude character. It was like we always have the woman character as the main character, so that's why instantly it's kind of like attracted me to it, because it was different. So we have Mark Patton, Kim Myers as Lisa. um and funny, but as a kid I honestly thought that was Meryl Streep. And she was cast because she looked like Meryl
Oh
Streep.
my God. I don't think I knew that. I
Well, I
like
was
that.
little. When you're little, I think even more so. You might think, like growing up, I was like, I could have sworn
Wait a
Meryl
minute.
Streep was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
How the hell did you know who Meryl Streep was?
Well, I'm saying growing up, like
Oh,
when you
gotcha,
remember
like,
it, because
looking
I
back.
I think yeah, looking back, like I don't think I saw it again until way later. I mean, this was the 80s. We actually saw it when we were little, you know. But yeah, I kind of remembered it that way and felt stupid. But then I felt like, what's the word? That word, like
Vindaloo?
vind. You just made up a word. I thought you'd
Uh,
help. Vindified.
I didn't make up a word. That's a delicious Indian cuisine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh my
But
God,
that
it's
has
so
nothing
good.
to do with that.
No. I was thinking of food because I'm looking at your fucking so
I think
Alma
it
is
was
wearing this shirt that you got from what's the place again?
Me Vale
Me Vale.
Creations.
Me Vale Creations. And it's a lot of just like
Everything,
Latino,
everything
South
Mexican,
Texas,
everything
Mexican,
that you
yeah.
love, treats, everything from like shirts to
Uh-huh.
keychains to purses, jewelry, everything. So this one says "Hay comida en la casa" because it's like an expression we say, like, "What's for dinner?" There's food in the house. There's food
Yeah.
in the house.
And
So I
not
love.
only that, but it has the butter dish being used to save all the beans that you make. Because when you make
Yeah.
pinto beans, when you make beans at home, you make a big old fucking pot of them. And then you freeze like little like not serving, but for like meals. So meal size, and you throw them in the freezer. But what do you freeze them in? You freeze them in your leftover butter dishes that you've been saving.
Butter dishes. We recycle our old containers. We're so smart. We
Exactly.
were like ahead of our time. Look at
Exactly.
us.
So, but I was
But great.
staring at that, and anyways, I'm hungry now. Fuck, I gotta go
Now
order food
we're
now.
we're gonna have to eat after this. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I think I only had toast today. But so we're here to talk about this great movie
and not
and
food? We're not a
not
food
food.
blog. I mean, food blog, a food podcast.
I don't even remember them eating anything during the movie that we could discuss.
Oh, okay.
Except for this strange breakfast right in the beginning of the movie. They're sitting at the table.
I'll try to
Do
think.
you know what I'm going to mention?
No, tell
She's
me.
slicing up, the mom is slicing up tomato slices,
Uh-huh.
and they're eating eggs, and the little girl is eating cereal. And she's slicing up these thick ass tomato slices.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what part of the country is that a thing where you slice up giant tomato slices, not cooked, not seasoned or anything,
Uh-huh.
and served them to the dad? And Jesse comes downstairs, and I never forget that because I'm like, what's with the tomato slices? How is that? It's
I
please, I'm
I
gonna
don't
have to
remember
Google
that.
it.
I don't remember that. I'm
I
sorry.
really want to know if that's something that people eat. Like when my husband eats beans and toast. And I'm like, what is that?
Well, that's because he's
Well, I
Canadian,
know
and
that's like a thing,
Canadian
but
yeah,
that's because I learned, you know.
yeah,
But that's why I'm wondering, is someone hearing right now tomato slices, just raw tomato slices
uh-huh,
served up plain
yeah.
with eggs, if that's a thing? Or was that just something they told her to do because they were like,
They're like, "Here's a
you know,
tomato, slice it." It's
pretend like you're
okay.
making breakfast? And she was like, there's only a fucking tomato here. So that's what she serves for breakfast.
Okay, so yeah,
I always read this.
this
Okay,
food
so
podcast isn't gonna work. We're gonna have to, why don't we do a horror movie podcast instead?
we could do that. Let's do a horror movie podcast.
Alright, let's discuss A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Back in Action, or whatever you said it was called, Freddy's Revenge, there we go. Alright, let's do it. Yes, you're right. I think this is a fun one. I get it. People have their, there's fandoms and people that are like, purist or whatever, but even as a fan, come on, you have to admit there really are no fucking rules in this world. There are no rules. There aren't. Don't try to make them. They don't exist. That's why Freddy exists. He can do whatever
Yeah.
the fuck he wants apparently. Um the one rule
He's
though,
from the dream world. So I
yeah.
think that no rules exist.
Well, there's only one rule. He has to do something with his tongue. Every fucking movie he has to do something with his tongue. So like I watched this one with the person I'm seeing. I told you this. I ended up every time I've gone over the like the past couple of weeks now, the another episode, not another episode, one of the sequels is on. So I think I like 5. Is that 5? Yeah. Anyways, not 5?
There's 7, and then
No,
there's
no, no.
the
I mean, we're at 5 right now. So yeah, and each one there's a tongue scene. So that's the rule. That's the only rule that I can think of. I'll let you know if there's a tongue in 6 and 7 because I don't remember. But every time that I see a tongue, I'm like, oh, I fucking forget. He's always got to do something with the tongue.
and that's what was funny about it. Those were those little moments in the movie as a kid watching them are what brought me, like, it would be like I'm kind of scared, but at the same time, there's this tongue again. And that one was like a comically huge, like demonic tongue coming out of his mouth. And it's those little parts are what
Yeah.
makes Freddy lovable and endearing.
Oh, totally endearing.
So that beginning sequence too with the bus, the
Uh-huh.
bus driving, and Jesse's on the bus and he's all kind of innocent looking in the
Oh,
back.
and who's driving?
Freddy Krueger's right, Robert Englund. It's not
Robert
real
Englund.
Freddy Krueger. It's like pre-burntness Freddy
Yeah.
Krueger. So he's driving the bus,
Yeah.
but that out into the desert, and they okay because it's twice that they show that kind of like desert landscaping. I'm like, where the fuck do they live that they have some sort of desert that looks like, and the trees, and I'm like, what? I'm like, that's scary. I hope that was always supposed to be dream, because it's not believable that people live somewhere where they could just go off road and die out in a strange desert. It's not
And
a because of the
die in a
tree.
strange desert.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, that's where you go to die. If you're just like, that's it, it's gonna go march off into the desert. And yeah, I never liked that. I don't know why. And then the balancing, why did I
Uh-huh.
think that was a possible thing that you could do? Probably
Well,
because of
oh,
cartoons. The
yeah,
way the bus
cartoon.
is like teetering on a little,
Yeah.
they put
Everybody
that in
go yeah,
cartoons.
they do. Um, my thing is, because I know it's just a dream, but why does he start overreacting before anything happens? Or is that the ending part? I can't remember.
See, it's confusing too, because now I'm
Yeah,
thinking, I'm not sure, just because it's in the beginning and at the
yeah.
end. Okay, so in our beginning, he is having the nightmares already,
Mhm.
and he's all fucking sweaty and everything, and the gaslighting begins immediately from the dad. because they're like, oh, the AC just needs a little Freon, blah,
What
blah,
the fuck
blah.
is up with that dad?
Then put the Freon in the fucking
That's
AC.
what I was thinking. If he knows that it's making him that fucking uncomfortable to where it's causing nightmares, sweating, fucking put Freon in the fucking AC. You are correct. That dad is just um when the bird explodes, why the fuck does he blame it on him on the
Yes,
set?
that part, the
Oh,
parts that always enrage me, and I'm like, I
it's so
always
dumb.
attribute it to, we are having this character this way because we need someone to hate. If we had a horror movie where you didn't have anybody to hate, like, you know what I mean? But this one, but this scenario, this particular one, where there's a person completely dismissing someone and then blaming everything on them. It's like in a sleepaway camp when the camp director is blaming Ricky for the murders. And it's just like, why is he choosing to pin everything on this? At least there was like a little evidence on the other side for Ricky. But on this one, he made a bird explode. So are you telling me at some point he found a syringe of gasoline, fed the little bird, and then caused it to go just
Boom.
like a what's it, TNT, like a car, and that was cartoonish. That's why I
That
think those little kids.
exactly.
I
That's why it's
remember
so funny. Like,
you made the
what?
bird explode, and
Why'd you so dumb.
and I think they were supposed to try to make this scene a more like demonic looking or whatever. But then I think if they had changed it anyway, then it wouldn't have been reality. There are a few times in the movies where I'm like, I still don't know if it's a dream or if it's not a dream. And this one I can definitely say was like part of reality. But there are so many times in the Freddy movies where I can be explained away if somebody told me, oh no, that was the dream part. And I'd be like, okay, okay, but the bird part was really intended to be part of reality. And then the little girl hiding behind the couch, trying to hide from the bird and everything. It's just so funny. But the fact that the dad blames it on him pisses me off so bad
Oh
because,
god.
and then later with like putting the bars on the window and everything, this movie is so memorable just for the
Yeah.
things that it does that kind of spin the narrative around. And all of a sudden, instead of our scream queen women lead, we had Jessie in that role. And
Mhm.
that's why I've also always been sympathetic, because growing up and then over the years, of course, we a lot more people are more open about loving this movie more, was because I always felt like it was all homophobic, the hate for the movie. And I watched this with my 13-year-old, and one of the first things that she noticed in the movie was a part where he calls his friend calls him a pretty boy or something like that. And she said, who wouldn't want to be a pretty boy, and who wouldn't like a pretty boy? And I thought that was a really sweet thing, because I was like, I love to tell her the climate of the world, because I'm like way older than her, of how things were. But I always felt like it was like most of the stuff that people said was, it's because you're homophobic. It was a lot of hate because of that. And I think in watching, have you watched the documentary, the Scream Queen
I
documentary?
no, I no, I haven't. I
I
know.
think right now it's available on Shutter, but I have watched it before with the kids. And I was like, see right here, all the hate. And that's what this actor grew up around, like as an adult, as like that hate was that. But yet the movie was, I was like, if the complaints they made were all the things that I found to be more interesting about the movie, the fact that it was a man there, and then it was the girlfriend comforting him. I loved it. And then there's Jesse dancing in the bedroom when they find the diary. um that was cool. I'm like,
That I love that because that ring and if you don't fucking believe that dudes are in their room fucking dancing like that, remember like fucking early TikTok or whatever, maybe it's still out there, I don't know, but I would see clips on like all the funny shows on TV where all you have this group of guys just all sexily dancing or dancing silly in their rooms and all that. Dudes do that. And yeah,
it's
this one,
believable
yeah, they said,
because it
"Just go
looked
for it.
like,
Go for it." And
yeah,
he did.
that to me it always felt like that is what you would honestly look like if someone just peeked the camera into your room at some point, like when you're in the kitchen washing dishes or dancing around your house cleaning. That was like, that looked like an honest to goodness teenager having fun in their room, and somebody just kind of spied in that moment, actually caught it
Oh, it was
like
great.
live.
It was
Yeah.
fabulous.
And so all
Okay,
right,
let's
so
talk
he's
about also I was just wanted to talk about
okay.
the girlfriend because you mentioned
Yeah.
her,
Mhm.
how she's comforting him
Uh,
and everything. Uh, okay, so I think like the first half when she's doing that is like really sweet girlfriend, but at the end, like not near the end, like starting halfway of the movie and going on, I don't know what she was thinking. I would not have been. I mean, there came a point where I was like, "Girl, something's gonna happen to you, and it's gonna be your own fault. Sorry, but in this case, it's a movie. It's a fucking movie. I can say this. I'm gonna blame the victim because she's putting herself in a situation where he's straight up. I don't care if you don't think it's him. He's telling you it's him being possessed by someone. So at the very least, it is him, even if it is, Krueger. So why the fuck are you hanging out? Why every step of the fucking way, every step of the way, when he kills the friend, all of that, she's still standing by him. Um, when Freddy fucking is at the pool party, I'm like, what the fuck? Oh my god, I was so mad at her. I was so mad at her.
yeah. I think that okay, so Freddy's revenge in this movie, I don't think we should really pick on that so much, because in most movies
No,
I
I'm
always
gonna pick
come
on
back
it.
to no, this is what I mean. I'm talking about, when you have the vengeful ghost or spirit that's like killing off all these innocent people completely unrelated to their own death. Freddy's doing that here. And it's the same shit. So if we hate it, let's hate it because we're killing random people. In the first one though, he's killing the children of the
Yeah,
parents who murdered
that
him.
is a big deal.
This one, it's even more separated from that because he's like, I guess Freddy's plan is, I'm going to possess this guy who's living in Nancy's original home, which is cool. I love that they had that. I'm like, um, he's in the home, and
Yeah.
that's the only connection to Jesse, is he has the
Only
misfortune. And
only
the dad brings it up. They got, how do you think we got this house so cheap?
yeah.
Which is like every haunted house trope. Like when you
Yeah.
go movie, it's in the same, it's the same thing.
I'm gonna try this. Okay, look, here's the thing. I live in Austin right now, and prices of houses are going everywhere. They're everywhere. I'm sure. All the prices of houses are going up. Here in Austin, I was listening to one of my coworkers was telling me where she lived, what she bought her house for. And then she told me what a house down the street from her recently sold for. There was a bidding war. It's almost twice as much what she paid for her house like 2 years ago. So I'm thinking if I find a murder house, I'm going to go try that and see if I'll actually get it at a reduced price, or because I wouldn't be able to afford a fucking house here right now. But if it's a murder house, maybe I'll get a really good deal on it. It's like,
Well, I
to
think
remind them, it's
that's
a
what
murder house.
my side gig I want it to be, is to find these homes where people, there's ghosts and stuff, or demons. I'm pretty open to that.
Okay.
Um, and I'm gonna sell those
Demons too,
houses. I'm
you're
gonna
sure.
you all who are having trouble finding places to live because of the housing market is shit. I will find you if you're cool with living with 1 to 3 ghosts. I have
And
good
a
advice for
demon
that too,
and
and a
or a
demon.
demon.
I don't know if I want the demon too. I think I take one or the
No, it
other.
has to be or a demon. So ghost
Yes.
or demon. You can't have both. You're right, because then that
Hmm.
would be too
I
much.
have tips. you just be nice to them. I'm always like, I'm like, you hear a funny noise, hey, you need something, I'll help you. Hope that it's like a ghost from like Angel when Cordelia moves into her apartment and there's a ghost and they're haunting her, but then she makes friends with it. Okay. Just make friends with your ghost. I will help you. Or what I can do is make up a fake background to the home of your dreams. And I will make up newspaper clippings, put them on the internet. Everybody puts lies on the
Oh my
internet. I
gosh,
mean, we've
shut
got all
up.
kinds of space lasers and shit. So I will make you a murder house that is super haunted and bring the price down of your dream home. And then,
I love that. I fucking love it. I love it.
so because in this case, it really does. Because he's, how did you think I got this house so cheap? And and then, but yet we're cool with it. We're cool with it. And then they tell him, hey, you be quiet, Jesse. You're upsetting the little girl, his little sister. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
You're upsetting the grown son. Why don't you care about him? It's
Yeah.
so shitty.
He's
That's
so
why it's
mean.
like,
He's so mean to him for no
it's
reason.
like it's those subtle things that you notice. It's like the this picking on him and
Uh-huh.
expecting him just to get over it and all that stuff. That in the first movie with Nancy, it's like, well, let's take you to a sleep clinic. They're a little bit more sympathetic. In this one, there is none for him because he is the boy, because he's supposed to just deal with it because he's the man or whatever. And that is the stuff that you could notice even from like the 80s, is like they were being shitty to him because of that. And so he I'm just like, it just always makes me so mad. And I don't know why, because it's like, why am I so invested in this character? It's like
Right?
he's
This
not real.
but no,
But
yeah, I totally get it.
he's
And
very
and they
sympathetic. He's a
yeah,
completely
exactly.
sympathetic character.
So
And
that's why you're okay with him going around killing people, even if it is Freddy, and
yes,
the
because
girlfriend
that's what I
comforting
want to
him
know. Okay, we'll
because
discuss that in a second. But okay, this is one the okay, so he is so not sleeping well. He's
yeah,
taking his stay awake pills and everything. That one night he is out in the rain walking, that sequence.
yeah,
Okay, so he's out in the rain. He ends up at the bar where his coach is at. And his coach was the one in the beginning when he makes his new frenemy, which I think is the cutest fucking friendship ever, because it starts off like,
oh my
why are
god,
you
yes.
picking on me? But then all of a sudden they're friends.
Okay, this is a thing also in, like, 80s movies. They start
Mm,
off like that, and then they become, like, they're fast friends, and I'm
mhm.
like, "I'm here for it, I'm here for it."
Yeah,
So, yeah, they're, like, totally cool with each other, but you're right, the fucking coach thing, it's like, if you don't fucking want him to say shit, then don't fucking, do shit. And I'm not talking about him being in a gay bar. I don't fucking care about that. It's like, just don't bring attention to it. If you
yeah.
don't want people to do shit about it, don't bring attention to it. But
That's what
no.
was that. Okay, so because he eventually he's brought home by
Yeah.
cops because he's
Mhm.
walking naked. And I don't, and I'm, that's why I'm like, is it real? So
Ah,
IMDb
gotcha,
and
gotcha.
Wikipedia had two different plot synopsis. But when I watched it originally, I always thought that was a real thing that was happening to him, because he's physically brought home naked after the shower scene. And I figure, okay, so he was traumatized by what he just witnessed. Okay, and therefore they bring him home. Do you think that's a dream sequence more, or was he walking in his sleep and then brought home?
Oh,
And
I think he's walking in his sleep. What do you think?
uh, I always thought it was a real scene,
Uh-huh.
because that was complete reality. But
Yeah.
for the same reason, because he's been hot and sweaty every time they show him but burst up from bed. It's the AC doesn't work in his room. It's super hot. There's a dream he's having where he wakes up in it and everything's kind of melting around him. So when he goes off walking and the coach finds him, I believe that to be a whole thing that was like an actual thing that was happening. The coach finds him in the bar. He takes him to school and makes him do like the punishment. That's why I brought up the beginning too, because he makes him do the push-ups until they can't do push-ups anymore. And in this one, Freddy comes out of him, or he's not possessed fully yet, so he shows up, and that scene is really gnarly to me because he ties up the principal and the scratches on the back, right? The way that they show the scratches on the back opening up, but I always laugh because they included the whooping his ass with the towel part because it was kind of like cheeky humor,
Mm,
and I
yeah,
don't mean that on that was
cheeky.
accidental because it was like okay,
Well,
so
real
oh
quick, you accidentally said principal, and I don't want people to think that we think he's the
oh
principal, but
crap, the
yeah.
coach,
No, no, it's
yeah, the
fine, yeah.
coach. But the way he's killed is
Yeah,
terrible.
it's
Uh,
horrifying. It's good.
and then I think either he was there for that or he was
Mhm,
sleepwalking the whole time
mm,
and then Freddy of course did the murdering and then he
mm,
ends up back at home and he's
mhm.
just like I'm going back to bed.
Yeah.
And so I never get I don't think I have a like a correct answer. Like still it confuses me what part was him dreaming and what part maybe he was sleepwalking through and what part was reality, okay?
Mhm.
Because he's already coming through the dream world like
Yeah.
we saw in the first movie
Mhm,
into the real world. So is
mhm.
it him or is he already using him completely to do the murdering, you
I think
know?
it's a little bit of both because I think at the beginning, he's not as strong until the party scene. So, I think he's using him as a conduit from the house. That's the only way he can get out and around from the house to him to go outside. So maybe he's like hiding out in him. Freddy's hiding out in him until he gets to. But this is all you're right because this is funny because he's Freddy's like totally killing people just randomly, and I'm not. I mean, not randomly, but randomly. They aren't connected to his story. They're just people that he's pissed at or whatever. So in this scene, I think it's funny because it's almost like he's doing. Oh my god, I'm horrible with names. People, yeah, you should know this by now. I'm horrible with names. The main character, um,
Jesse.
Jesse.
Mhm.
Uh, with Jesse, it's almost like he's doing him a favor by doing this, but not really. He's just like it's almost he's doing this favor, but it's really just because here's an opportunity for me to kill somebody. That's really what it is. It's just for that. But I coming back to what you said that you didn't know. Um, I think the reason it seems kind of hazy, dreamy, is because he's not completely out. So like Jesse will come in and out of like his own dream state. So it's kind of I hope that made sense. It probably didn't, but it makes sense in
Well,
my
this is
brain.
what I'm talking about with each movie. It's like, okay, the first one could have just been a movie in itself and then they never made any sequels to it because her owning her fear and turning her back on Freddy should have eliminated him. But then they kind of add that dream sequence at the end of the movie and where the mom is comically pulled in through the little window and they always add that piece that kind of leaves it open for is he really gone. So in this one he is using that coming into reality part, I think, to come over. Now Jesse, I wanted to bring up about Jesse is that I love that scene where he's like, you've got the body and I've got the brains scene, because it goes back to what you said. He's using him as like the home as the conduit. But he can use this person who actually has a lot of like repressed rage in him. He's dealing with his dad being shitty, moving to a new school, and then he was initially being picked on at school, remember, because Grady ends up being his friend,
Oh, that's right.
but
Yeah.
and it's like, who are the people that are, who's the
Yeah.
guy who dies, the coach who picked on him?
Yeah.
That
Uh-huh.
was like that the relationship to him
Mhm.
is much more personal. So it's like people that are being picked off are kind of like maybe enemies, but of Jesse's, not Freddy's. He's totally using him just to kill anybody because he's a homicidal, whatever you want to call it. And so I love this. I had made a little note to mention how hard Jesse is trying to mind his business, because I love to watch this with the family and say, what's the rule? Mind your business. And unfortunately, he lives in the house where he can't mind his business. And he's learned a lot of information just because of the fact that Nancy conveniently left her journal there so he could read it with
Okay,
his with
because I
Lisa.
haven't seen the movie in like probably a couple of months, and I forget details and shit really easily.
Mm.
Did we ever see her writing in her journal in the first movie?
I can't remember.
I forgot it to
Oh,
look back
now I
at that.
feel like I can't remember her writing a journal.
I
She's
love it.
good at
I love the
oh,
it's a good plot device so that we can get insight into it. The other thing I want to
especially
mention
because nobody's giving him the information. He has to
exactly.
figure
So
this
yes,
out on his own. Mhm.
exactly. I do want to mention though also they mention here and then they go into it a little bit more. Not they don't really go into it, but they mention that the mom died in her sleep. You know, like, I would have loved to, like, how did they do that? I wanna I always wanna find out all those details because I think me and you had this discussion about, like, after like, in the movies, they don't show the aftermath, like, how things get tied up and how, whatever, they explain away things. So, in the first movie, we have the mom, the way she dies in the bed, and then, like what was up with that ending when she gets sucked through, and then
Uh-huh.
later on we find out that dad has problems with alcohol and stuff like that. Anyways, my point is the story they have is that mom died in her sleep. Okay.
Maybe and then they do take the time also to mention that she witnessed her hot boyfriend, because remember she wrote in the
Oh
thing
yes, yeah, that's right, yeah, yeah.
across the hall get across the street get murdered and all that. But yeah, I guess I don't know.
I don't
I
know,
think
I
it's
think
kind
too
of like
much
an
about
urban
stupid shit.
legend.
Yeah.
But I think like I always like some of it just gets twisted because
Uh-huh.
back then we had word of mouth and we didn't have I'm
Yeah.
always like we didn't have the fucking internet, you all. You don't understand. We couldn't just look
Okay,
it up.
okay,
We were
yeah,
stupid. We
gotcha.
were stupid
We
because
were.
not because we didn't have the information. It's because we heard it from someone else.
It's a game
You
of
know, and
telephone, yeah.
and our real life like investigation montages like this one, all they had was they found out where Freddy Krueger used to work. So they go
Yeah.
to that warehouse building and they found out that
That was a weird
Nancy's
one too.
yeah, the work that was okay, that was really weird where he
They
worked. And they find nothing. Okay. Yeah, I just it just didn't, I'm like, what
but
does it have to do with the
I'm okay
boiler
with
room?
it. I'm okay with it. It's just
Yeah.
funny how they're like, "Okay, now we need a space where we let's he worked. This is where he worked, but it's
Yeah, it's because
abandoned now."
maybe that was the twist because like in the
Yeah.
first one they do the investigation is only her asking the mom and then her mom knew everything and even had the
Yeah.
glove. She
Yeah.
kept the glove?
That's so
That's
fucking weird, right?
evidence
Right?
that was used to kill children, which is also a thing that I'm always like clawing children to death.
Oh my god. Okay, going back.
What were we even
Let's go
talking
back
about?
to the
Because I can't
movie.
remember.
Let's go back to the movie. This
So yeah,
movie.
their investigation is pretty
Yeah.
much anything that they learn
Yeah.
from word of mouth. And okay, and the microfiche only gave up that Freddy Krueger used to work at this place where they didn't find anything.
Yeah.
So Lisa's being very helpful, like you said, for most
Yes.
of the movie.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I think it's up to the point probably where the pool scene. So they're having the party, which I love because the parents are there and the parents retreat. And then
Uh-huh.
once the parents go inside, everything is like, okay,
Isn't
we're
the
gonna
party scene hilarious? I mean, I was
yes,
like, "This is a really boring party, but if there's free food, I'm here for it." So I'm like,
yeah, hot
I feel like
dogs.
exactly, give me a
But
hot dog, some chips, and then when they go and so but I thought it was kind of funny that everybody was excited to be at this party. I'm like, "Okay,
and Lisa
alright."
had some people over. Was she that
Yeah,
popular, or did people just show up for real? Like,
for the party.
what is
It
it,
was for the
16
party.
candles because they're having a party, and
Oh, yeah.
all of a sudden, all the fun start because Lisa's not even talking to anybody but her
Yeah.
friend. She has like the one
Yep.
friend
Mhm.
who wanted Grady. Who
Yeah.
remember he was from Shag. We used to love Shag, the movie, and Grady, the actor, was
Mhm.
in it. So he doesn't come to the party because he said he pushed his grandma down the stairs, which is so funny. Just
What the
like the
fuck?
comical shit that they wrote into this. And but all these people are there. They start
Yeah.
partying, and Jesse goes off with
Yeah.
Lisa
Mhm.
to the like the pool house or whatever, and
Yeah.
everyone starts having sexy party fun times, and the
After the
parents are
parents
trying to
go to
get in
bed.
on the
Yeah.
stairs.
Yeah.
And the wife is like, "Who cares what they're doing? We have private time. Shut
Exactly.
the fuck up. Let's do
Yep.
it." Okay.
Yep.
And exactly like they're in the backyard. What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
So that's when the tongue scene comes out.
Oh my
And
god.
I love this scene because this could be I don't even consider it subtext. It's like text. He's making out with Lisa, and this is I was gonna make it a point to bring up because there's no female nudity in this movie. Okay, the only nude things we see are men's butts in this movie, and when they're in the shower and stuff like that. And even when Lisa and him are making out and they start to get into it, her breasts are covered completely, which is also a different take from the typical 80s slasher movies that we were used to seeing. We appreciated that. It was like, I always am like, to this day, I'm like, we need more penis and ass for men in movies because we have not caught up to all the flashing that we had to see from the
Okay,
80s
so
and
here's the
90s
thing.
movies.
Not that I want to see it because I really don't, but yes, you're correct. In order to try to get some of that equality
It
going,
just it's just for equality purposes, okay?
there's
So
a
he's making
penis
out with her.
here and a penis there and a
Just
penis
dangle it
everywhere.
around.
Right
Not
here in
that
the
much.
right
Stop
here in
doing
the
that with your hands. So at that point, when
just a
he should be
random peen. A random peen.
no, that's all I can see.
Peen,
Okay, stop it because I can't even see as most of us.
peen,
Um,
peen.
so they're making out, and right at
I'll
the
stop.
point where he's like supposed to be like, "Are we going to do this or not?"
Yeah.
What happens? That tongue from Freddy shows
Uh,
up, and that is like the sickest tongue.
it's
It
gnarly.
just it's so funny because I know I've seen behind the scenes shots where it's like they
Uh-huh.
put that thing in his mouth, and it's so funny, but so
Did it look
true.
as ridiculous during the filming?
Well, yeah, of course, because it's just like a real thing, you know what I mean? And the thing about it is like I would never, it's still gross. Whether it's scary or not, doesn't matter. Do you want to be licked by that thing? Just imagine it like flopping
Why
around
are you making the sound effects?
like me with a penis.
Oh my god.
I feel bad. I regret saying that. You can cut that out.
We're not cutting that shit out. Anyways, okay, so yeah.
He runs off.
He runs off. And what does he do?
He goes to Grady's house. He has a
Mhm.
new friend,
His
and
new
he tells
friend.
him like, "I'm the one who killed the
Yeah.
coach." He says, and you know what? Also is really cool about Grady is not only he's like, "Okay, you can spend the night here."
Yeah.
This didn't work in the first movie, and
Mm-mm.
it doesn't work in this one.
No.
One of us stay up while the other one's asleep
Yeah.
or whatever, and Grady eventually is going to go to sleep. The thing is that Grady doesn't not only believes him the way that
Mhm.
Lisa was believing him
Yeah.
that this is going on, but he volunteers to help him. And he was like, "You should be back over there, but instead you're over here sleeping with me." And that was a really funny line too, because I was like, yeah, because he came to his, this is his friend. And Grady is, I think, a really good friend because he's not even scared of this guy telling him, "I just killed our coach." Sure, spend the night. You get
And
comfy.
yeah. So okay. So now when he's dying or about to die and he's banging on the door calling out for his dad, that's so heartbreaking. I wanted to cry because it's like he's screaming for his father over and over,
Why'd you
and
make it sad? But
because
it
it
is
is.
that part is because he's trying so hard to get out of the room, and his friend is transforming, not just transforming, Freddy's coming out of his
Tearing out of
body.
him.
And that is so cool.
Oh yeah,
It really gave me like Hello Mary Lou
oh
vibes.
my god, I was just about to say that.
He
Yeah.
becomes like a skin suit because Freddy's coming
Yeah.
out of his fucking body. Okay, so before he's like he's trying to use me,
Mhm.
but now is it like he became him or he's coming out of him to like make himself so physical that he comes out and tears open that I love
Yeah.
the parts where the face is pushing through the skin. That's so cool. I've wanted
Those
a little
scenes in
wall
any movie are
like
great.
yeah, right. When you're like trying to sleep, mind your business, and then the ghost is all pressed and because
How
the skin coming out. Ooh. But I love that. And It, and also because his makeup, I always thought was so good. Freddy's makeup and the scars and everything,
Yeah.
and he always looks real wet, and that
Ugh.
wetness gives like an
Yeah.
uneasiness like
Yeah.
to
There's
it.
something about
It's
like, why is it wet? Ew.
yeah, he's all. I mean, he's burnt. Shouldn't he be all like dried and stuff?
Yeah, we don't
So
know.
he's, but that's that slime
Yeah.
level is what gives it that grossness
Oh,
effect.
yeah.
And then he kills poor Grady with the dad's trying to get in.
It's so
And
sad.
so Freddy is loosed. He's
He's loose,
loosed.
and he's having
And then
fun at
what
the party. He goes and he has fun at the party.
he's like, I just love how casual and cool he just shows up to the party, like, hey, everybody, it's Freddy. And
Yeah.
they don't even know who he is, though. Like, it would have been better if they
I
knew
do
who he was because it'd be
well
like celebrity moment.
well, see, I kinda like that they didn't know because that's how like,
The
you
one
get
guy
the
you're going to talk about, right?
what's that? Which
Oh,
one?
I thought
Oh,
you were
the
going to
one
bring
that
up the
tries to
one.
talk to him. Oh my god, that's
Yes.
hilarious. Well, I was just gonna say that, any random person coming into the party acting like that, you're gonna be terrified of. But yes, that one guy who tries to talk him down, that was great. That was fabulous. There
And
always has to be
it's,
someone who
why did
thinks
they
that he's
write that in there? Because, but the thing is
it's
that why did
great.
they write it in there? But it's great
Uh-huh.
because it's like, there was like a voice of like reason here. People, when they start, like if it was somebody with a
Yeah.
gun, you would try to
Yeah.
talk them down.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so this guy shows up. He's obviously worked up. He's slashing people.
He's
And he's like, come
slashing 'em.
on, with this, you don't need to do this.
Yeah.
It's
You're
funny, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
There's
it does.
always somebody who's trying to like tell you
Yep.
you don't need to do this.
Yep.
And he starts boiling the water, which it says it's boiling. And I'm like, but none
Yeah.
of them are burned.
None of
It's
them
just
are
bubbly.
boiled. I didn't
He
see
made
any
it a
bread.
jacuzzi. But he did fuck some people up
He did.
their faces and their chests and stuff trying to
Oh,
get away.
that's like when he there was maybe only a couple of deaths. Like the rest were
Mhm.
like just
I think
wounds,
so
flesh
because
wounds.
he gets to where like some of the people trying to flee can't get out and
Yeah.
they're getting shocked. They're not getting
Yeah.
like fully electrocuted, they're just getting shocked.
Yeah.
So he's just being a menace at this point
A
and
menace.
ruining the party. He's
He's such
ruining
yeah,
it.
he's ruining that
You know what I
party.
mean? And at the point where he's like, okay, so when he has the flames and Lisa's
The
her
flames.
dad has a gun, right? Her dad has the
Oh, I
gun. He shows
fucking hate when she does this. Okay, this is the part I'm
oh
talking
yeah.
about. Girl, you should have let your dad fucking shoot him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I was so mad. He had the opportunity. No. What the fuck? That pissed me off. I don't care how much you love. And here's the thing. They were really boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, yeah, sure they started to make out there and that,
Yeah.
during the party and all that. But so
They're
why?
not. Mhm.
Why is she you can love a friend, but if they turn
He's
into that
murdering people. He's
exactly.
murdering people.
He killed
Yeah,
a
and
friend, he's over here slashing people. You think that's him? Let your dad fucking kill him. And she fucking messes with that whole thing and he runs away. And then she runs after him. Yeah, it turns out okay in the end, but still, that fucking pisses me off. That fucking
yeah, she's
pisses me off.
crying out for literal help, and she, but she's not
Ruins help.
helping.
She
But she
ruins help.
doesn't help him. The dad is trying to save people, so
A
it's
dad did
really funny because
something
she gets
good.
at when he's fighting with her and she gets scratched on the leg, so she fully knows this is Jesse. And she's cut on the leg, and later on I always know when the little things happen, it's like because something gross is going to happen to her leg, so it's
Mm.
going to have maggots on it later or whatever. But she goes, let's go to Freddy's work. How did they know that they were going to go to Freddy's work? Oh, hey, he's going to go, reminisce back at work. And those two gnarly dogs with the faces on them,
Yeah.
the baby faces or whatever. I love that. I love that they were thinking, okay, because this is kind of dream world. I mean, like, what is he at this point? Can you really survive Freddy? He's got supernatural powers. He
Yeah.
can come out of your dreams. He can kill you
Out
in
of
your
your
dreams.
dreams. He can break out from your flesh, but then yet somehow you're
This is
okay and you
why
still have your flesh.
this is why I freaking loved Dream Warriors, because they
Mhm.
put the spin on that. Well, if you can
Yeah.
do whatever the fuck you want in your sleep, we can do whatever we want. So those
Mhm.
those dogs that she just like, but the thing is that she's learned don't feed into the fear. So
Yes.
that's why she walks past the dogs and everything, and Freddy's there. And but Jesse is like Freddy, Jesse. And then we get our kiss scene. It's like, why is she so obsessed with kissing Jesse? Move on, okay? He's just your friend. We've already brought this up. Leave Jesse
Yeah.
alone. But maybe it's like because Freddy has a crush on her. And
Ooh.
that's why she
Or
kisses
maybe
him.
maybe she has a crush on Freddy.
Oh my gosh, she's
That's
his
what it
biggest
is.
fan.
That's why she was like, "Don't kill my new boyfriend. I love
Yes.
Freddy."
Maybe she thought she was the one who could change him. You know how the
Oh,
sometimes it gets like that. That's
they
my
got
boyfriend. He can change for me. Yeah, that's
I
what's going
I
on.
get that's how all those fucking serial killers end up with getting married because people like this girl right here.
Yes, it's her.
That's totally her.
Red flags
She
all
would
over the
marry
place.
Freddy. Um, okay, so now we're in the bus after
Mm,
everything's done,
mhm.
and how are they
Why are
gonna
we in the bus, Dalia? Why are
because
they in the bus? Who is responsible for those deaths? Who was held accountable
but
for those deaths?
this was what, like, a day later and everybody's cool?
Hey, you
I don't
remember
know if
the
it was a
wild
day,
party
but
over
it
the
was
weekend? Remember what happened at Lisa's party? That dude showed up with the sweater and killed people.
that was funny, right?
Why did they show a newspaper clipping? Dude in red and olive green sweater on the loose after killing people at fucking pool party.
You'd think they would at least be a little sad or something, like, sitting there, it's just like,
Grady is
"Great
dead.
party."
The coach is dead, and the coach was kind of funny.
It's like movies, they do that. They totally forget about their friend that just died a minute ago. It's like
Nancy went to school the day after Tina got murdered.
well, at least they acknowledge that one. She didn't, and her mom's, like, making her go to, like, be normal or whatever. This is just, like, straight up, "Great party."
How many people died? She knows it was Jesse. Who's being held accountable for these murders? So what were you saying about the bus,
Held
Talia?
held accountable. That was it. I just wanted to why did they get on with their lives so quickly? And
So is
then
that part a dream? The bus scene at the
see,
end, is it
that's
a dream?
confusing because, um, okay, so he starts this is the part I think where I mentioned in the beginning. He starts overreacting quickly. Now, for it ends up being all true, he's going too fast, blah blah blah. Um, but it's just funny that he starts reacting quick and no one else is seeing it, and then right away it just all goes bad, and then, like, you're right, like, was it a dream? Like, so, because in dreams, I like to think that in my dreams, I do see the shit going on. I see, like, oh, I have this feeling, or I have a feeling my dreams have a lot to do with ghosts and living dead. So in my dreams, that's what's happening. But I feel it, I know it before something's actually happening. So I think it's a little bit of a mix of the real world and a dream because there's no way everybody's being that fucking normal after what happened. So, like, maybe he sucked them all into a dream world? I don't know. It's just weird.
And we can leave it up in the air like that too, because like I mentioned, the way they slapped that ending on the first one with
Mhm.
her little Barbie body being pulled through the window.
Her Barbie
Uh,
body. I love
this
that.
part could be partly real and part dream. Maybe he's
Yeah.
dreaming of when he goes back to school and he's having a dream of when he went back to school, but also still having the same nightmares to show that Freddy is alive still and he's still gonna come back. I don't know why I tried to use that voice. That was a real stupid voice.
Yeah, that
But
was why did you do that? That's so embarrassing,
I was
Alma.
trying to be scary.
Or maybe I'm gonna tell myself he got on the bus because
Fell asleep.
when the friend first gets on the bus, she does look morose at first before she says great party or whatever, right? So maybe all that is real.
Great
And then
party.
and then he fell asleep and then everything after that when she says great party, everything else is a dream. So that's what I'm gonna tell myself for it to make sense because I don't know if it's a dream or if it's real. And so that's what I'm saying. It started off
And
real, turned into a dream.
uh-huh. Okay, yeah, because I can
That's
have it
my
any other way.
version.
A
That's my
blend
version.
one way or the other. The only thing that it just really the
The
only thing
only
about this
thing.
fake fictitious movie, fake fictitious,
Fake fictitious?
um, is that this dude shows up at a party and kill people and nobody's held accountable.
Nobody.
That's what they should have called it. Part
Nobody.
deux. Freddy's back in action.
No one's held
It
accountable.
should just be called "There's no fucking rules." There's no fucking rules
Yeah.
because
But we got
yeah,
a taste of that in the first one when he started breaking the rules. That
yeah.
each movie he
She's
breaks
like,
more rules.
uh-huh. And
He's
the
just
thing
like,
is
"There's no
that
rules. There's no
you
rules."
because he's breaking the rules,
Mhm.
you can use those to reverse Uno card him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because if he can come over here, then we can kill him. And the
Mm.
biggest thing is that don't be afraid of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing was that Jesse was this a vulnerable character.
Mhm.
Um, he was the innocent, and that's why I always remember it so much because I love that it was a different, just the way that we embrace movies when there is a person of color as
Yeah.
the lead. If there's a
Yeah.
queer character, we relate to those because
Yeah.
they're different. It isn't the typical scream queen
Yeah.
leading you know,
And he and
woman or
he
whatever.
and yeah, like, everything you mentioned earlier about the dad being a shitty dad,
Mm.
being bullied, all of that stuff definitely plays into it. That's, I think, what makes him a relatable character. You are correct. That's what makes him vulnerable to Freddy. You are correct.
Mm.
And so I still don't agree with the girlfriend, like, or girlfriend being all but gaga over him for no reason, like, especially when he starts
Mhm.
doing shit. But yes, even though I knew it was him and he's an okay dude, I still like. There was a time when he said, like, what does he say? He tells her, right, "Kill me" or something like that. Fucking kill him.
She didn't listen to him at all. She still was like,
And
but see,
that's
that's
why
the
Freddy's still
frustrating
around. But it's her fault that Freddy comes back in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because of
that,
her.
yeah, it's like, oh, you're
It's
right. Because I think
her.
that they could have killed him with a shotgun instead of killing him with your love. She killed him with her love. She kisses.
What is it's Dream Warriors, right? The third one?
Yes, I
Uh,
love it so much. Like,
they should have called that one, Freddy's Back, It's What's Her Name's Fault. Because
it's fucking Lisa's fault.
but
And
no.
I do recommend everybody catch Scream Queen, my Nightmare on Elm Street with Mark Patton,
Yeah.
because it is so great to watch. Also because to learn of the environment that
Mm,
was the real world,
yeah.
that was happening while this movie was made and the afterwards,
Mhm,
because this that and I think that's why we can all be even more sympathetic
mhm,
towards the character in real life. We always try to find those things to relate to, and that's why um a lot of the movies that I revisit are fun to revisit because it's like, oh, it was a different time. It really was a different time. And birds don't
isn't
blow
it
up. You can't ever blame that on your kid.
you
You
cannot
know
blame that on your
what?
fucking kid. What?
Well, if they did do it, but it's not like he did it in front of what mechanism could he have used? Did he put a bomb in him? The
Oh, that's
bird
horrible. But if it's
and the bird killed the other bird because weren't there two?
ooh, I don't remember.
Were
Huh,
there two?
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know.
thinking another
I
movie.
want
I
chocolate
just
cake
watched the
now.
bird
I'll just
box.
just randomly, I want chocolate cake now. I'm gonna have to go find some chocolate cake somewhere. Oh, I was gonna say that, we're not I know we're not talking about the 3rd one, but I
Mm.
just wanna say real quick that the 3rd one has I always forget her first name, Arquette.
Patricia Arquette.
Okay, so, yeah, I love that one, and I would love to talk about that one maybe on a Patreon episode because, like you said, you said it's your favorite, right?
Well, I don't know. I think I like different ones for different reasons, and I can
Okay.
put them in order. You know how I'll
Uh-huh.
do that, where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I like one, two, and then I like a new nightmare, and then I
Mhm.
like part three, and then blah blah blah. But
Uh-huh.
the thing is, I individually like the first three for different reasons, and I kind of hold them up to like
Okay.
their own thing. But I think I was listening. It might have been on Fear Street where someone talking about Heather Langenkamp, and
Yeah.
I actually feel like the third one. I love it because I felt like it was a um what is it called, like they made up for, okay, because in the first one, come on, Heather Langenkamp wasn't the greatest
Mm.
um lead in it, and when we
And you
saw
love her, so you can
three,
say that.
yes, I love her, and then the third one I really felt like she had come into the character a lot better, and when I saw her, it was like she did good in that character. In the third one, I really liked Nancy
Mhm.
in Dream Warriors way better than original Nancy in the first movie. I thought she way acted way better
Okay,
The
all
cat,
right. Well,
you know what I mean?
we'll save that for whenever we have that discussion. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up
Okay.
because we could go on forever, and our
Yes.
listeners know that. So Alma, if people want to get a hold of us on the interwebs, because you know they do,
Boop, boop, boop.
even if it's to tell us that we're
You
wrong.
could do, yeah, you could do an investigation montage and look us up on the microfiche, or you can head over to our website at oh, nightmaremoviepodcast.com. Our Instagram is at Nightmare Movie Podcast. Our Twitter is at Nightmare on Fifth. That's Nightmare on 5th.
Mhm.
And if you want to reach us to further support us, not just by listening, but we appreciate every listen. Dalia has our Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee information.
Patreon.com/Nightmare Movie Podcast and buymeacoffee.com/Nightmare Pod. Thank you all so much for listening. We know that you could listen to any podcast out there and you are choosing us, and we appreciate it. Well, I know you're also listening to the other ones, but I'm okay with that. I'm totally cool
Yes.
with it. I'm a cool
Spread the
girlfriend.
love.
I'm a cool girlfriend. All right. Next time. Bye.
I'll be your side piece. Bye.